Hello, this is Royalport2, and I'm here to talk about Toy Story 3. We all know how trilogies go. The first movie was awesome. The second was either close to or better than the first. And the third one is either horrible or at least drops the ball a lot. This was particularly upsetting in the case of Toy Story 3 because the first two are classics. The Ragin Canadian critic even called the first one his fourth favorite Disney animated movie. I also had doubts because while Pixar is known for quality films, they also did make Cars, which was only okay. It also didn't help that the director of the last two films, John Lasseter, had been replaced by Lee Ulbrich. Now, Lee Ulbrich is a great director. He even directed my personal favorite Pixar film, Finding Nemo. But changing the director for the last film almost always spells disaster. So needless to say, this movie had a lot going against it going in. So how was the movie? Well, let me start by talking about the acting. Tom Hanks gives his best performance as Woody to date. It's funny because in the past, Woody always goes through a journey about his own self-worth. Yet in this one, he has become perfectly comfortable with himself and is thinking selflessly through the whole movie. The power behind his voice is very impressive. Tim Allen's performance as Buzz Lightyear is also good. Buzz has always been a different role for Tim Allen because the humor comes from how stiff and serious he is, not goofy like most of Tim's characters. But he handles the part well. His and Woody's relationship is also expanded in this movie. They're still friends, but find themselves on opposite sides on the issue of what the toys should do involving Andy's leaving. I also like the way they developed his relationship with Jessie. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you liked the hint of their romance at the end of Toy Story 2, you'll probably like it a lot. The thing I was most curious about this film was Michael Keaton as Ken. I am a big Michael Keaton fan and have been waiting to see him make a comeback. I was unsatisfied with his role as Chick Hicks in Cars. It wasn't terrible, but he wasn't in it that much, he wasn't used to his full potential, and overall he wasn't that funny. Ken, on the other hand, is hilarious. Ken was funny for several reasons, the big one being he is a badass metrosexual. This was a part that would be hard for most actors to pull off, but Keaton, with his timing, voice, and overall charisma, made it consistent and believable. His relationship with Barbie and refusal to accept that he was a girl's toy were also very funny subplots. I also feel I have to mention that Jim Varney was sadly missed as Slinky Dog. But to the credit of the guy replacing him, he did a good job, sounding like Jim Varney without coming off as just doing an impression. The rest of the cast also did a great job. There is one more character who I would like to talk about specifically, but since the reason why I want to talk about him involves plot spoilers, I'm going to wait until the very end to talk about him. Okay, let's get to other aspects now. Like I said before, the change in Woody's story was very interesting, and to me, brought his story full circle. Both old and new characters' relationships were handled well, and the size of this movie is epic. Lee Ulbrich really impresses me, as this is his first time as head director and not co-director like he's been on his other movies. The humor was good, and the stakes were high, and each character got their needed amount of screen time. The only complaints I have are things that personally bothered me, like this may not be the best one of the trilogy, or that I missed characters like Bo Peep or RC. But these aren't actual flaws with the movie, they're just things that personally bothered me. While I am reluctant to do this, and I'm probably gonna change my mind as I continue to watch the movie more times and find more flaws with it, but I'm going to give Toy Story 3 a daring 10 out of 10 rating.